Okay, welcome back to the Coriolis, the Third Horizon campaign. This is the Mercy of the Icons, which is the campaign which we've just finished the first part, which is called the Emissary Lost. There is a second part, the last cyclade, which we will pick up in the fall. But when we last left the crew of the Sacred Oasis, they were being medevaced from the planet side after having fought a terrible dark morph beast that was released when someone essentially murdered the being that was thought to possibly be the messenger icon, but certainly in the end was a husk of a person. The crew saw a vision of other planets, of things to come, and then an evil beast was released, and they fought valiantly and defeated it. Unfortunately, they were beaten, broken, bruised, and they waked to the sound of the beeping sound of medical machines on the adjudicator ships, bringing them back to Coriolis. Takes a few days to recover before they're summoned before or invited, we'll say, to meet up with the judge, who had kind of off the record hired the party to complete this mission, to figure out what was going on. Ideally, they would have rescued the emissary, but at least knowing that the Order of the Pariah was behind it, was one step closer, and due to that, the Consortium and the Order of Pariah are now about to break out into what could be an all-out war. So the horizon is kind of on pins and needles to see what will happen next. But before we get into all that, maybe we'll just do a brief introduction of each character. You guys can just intro your characters, and then we'll cut to the judge. So, Yang, tell us about your character.
I play Rahman Al-Qasim, and Rahman is the pilot of the spaceship Sacred Oasis, and he hails from the planet Koa, which is the planet he just returned from. He's the self-proclaimed best pilot on this side of the Third Horizon, and he's conceited. He always says, "I'm the best," so obviously. But despite his conceit, he's fairly good-natured and easy to get along. He has a fatal flaw, and it's that he lets his adrenaline take a hold of him, and he always, takes stupid risks with himself and the ship and the crew when it's not necessary. But during the past adventure, he has managed to calm himself down and take measured risk, and I think he has actually grown a little bit out of that phase. So, by the way, Rahman is lying on the, med, the bed, and he's probably munching on baklava because that's his favorite snack.
Hasn't got out of that yet. We'll find a very chubby Rahman when we come back, I guess. Crystal, tell us about your character.
I play Cyrus Toima. She is a scientist engineer and basically does the repairs on uh, Sacred Oasis. Uh, right now, she's trying to reconfigure her robot arm. She blew a couple of circuits and has some leaky hydraulics after punching out that wall in the few weeks ago, trying to rescue the people inside the prison. Uh, and yeah, it seems like she gets some solemn and some solace, and as she uses her Omni tool to trace the various circuits that she needs, and that is Cyrus.
Excellent. Nikki, tell us about your character.
I play Amira. She is the captain of the Sacred Oasis, and she is happy that, despite the fact that they are pretty battered and beat up, their crew managed to escape with their lives and the lives of everyone else that was on their ship, as they had several passengers that they had acquired by the time they were done. So she's just thankful to the icons, to the judge, that she didn't lose anybody, because they're all very near and dear to her, especially Saeed, who is her best friend, almost like a brother. And she's just very, very happy nobody's hurt. And she's ready to get back to her apartment and take a real bath and put on some nice clothes and go to Alkemar's and celebrate. And that's Amira.
Excellent. And rounding out the crew, Mike, tell us about your character.
Saeed is the gunner. He's basically been hanging out on his bio bed. He is nursing his broken arm, and I'm sure his groin pull has been taken care of. He's probably laying back, juggling a ball or two as he is listening to voicemail from his sister. He's also probably been keeping tab on all the people that have been on board ship. So he is going to make sure that Dimitri is keeping track of Aziz and Tubra and Walla and all our other house guests. Make sure that hospitality has been afforded to them, and that they're not ransacking the place while we're gone recuperating. Yes, he's also quietly making sure that everybody else's stats, medical stats, are looking fine too. And that's Saeed.
Excellent. So, after a couple of days, you're healed up enough that you can walk around, and maybe you have got a cast on your arm if it's broken, or I think there was some other breaks and bruises and stuff. You're invited to meet with the judge, much like before, at Alkemar's restaurant, which is the finest establishment on Coriolis space station, of course. And you're brought in, just as before. As soon as you arrive, it's a beautiful place, and they have, of course, you can't bring weapons or anything, but you're probably dressed up. And you're each presented with a courtesan who brings you to the table where the judge, unlike last time where she had standing behind her in heavy armor, which stuck out like a sore thumb in such a place, adjudicator Akuba, this time she is alone, and she sits there, a slight smile across her face. The judge is a heavy-set, powerful woman, both in stature and in, of course, politics, and news that she was involved in this, of course, somehow creeped out to the press and has been across the bulletin. You all have had a pretty good reputation ever since having helped the people get off the Ghazali, to save the people from the Ghazali. But your reputation has even grown even more now after this. She asked you to sit down, and she looks at each of you and she says, "You've done a great service to the Third Horizon. Who could have suspected that the Order of Pariah would do such a thing? And we knew that their religious favor would make them protest the supposed icons, but to hatch such a murderous plot was beyond anything even we could think." She kind of looks at you all.
Very sorry that we could not have done things sooner and saved more lives. Very sorry.
Yes, well, we do what we can. I think I'm happy that you all survived, and I heard that your niece was found and was okay, and you were quite brave. And she looks towards Cyrus and she says, "I heard of the well, who hasn't? Because it's been all over the bulletin. The reports of you smashing through the wall to save the people trapped inside. and this dark beast that Akuba has in her report. It's surprising that anybody got out of there alive.
Yes, nor was we did find her, and she's traumatized, but she'll be all right. We'll make her. We'll make sure she's all right, and the rest of them as well.
She kind of nods and she says, Aziz has been brought back to his family, and they've spoken with your patron about the reward, so fear not about that. And of course, for my part, we've taken care of you as well. And of course, feel free to stay and eat, but I must go. However, I'll be reaching out to you very soon. As you know, there were 5 in total who claimed to be icons, and now we fear that they may all be in danger. And I could use your help in tracking them down and keeping them safe. And then, kind of without waiting for an answer or anything, she just kind of stands up and kind of does like a bow and then turns and walks away and leaves you at the table alone, the 4 of you with the beautiful meal in front of you. And Amira, you would know, you probably keep a track of all that stuff, that, not only did she pay the amount she said, but double that. So another 40,000 beer had entered into your account.
Okay. And I would say, well, my friends, I wasn't sure we'd get to see this kind of meal again down there on Kua, but I'm so happy to be here with you all right now. She looks at all of them in turn and says, just so incredibly happy that you're all here and safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is true.
I don't think any ordinary crew would have made it out of there. Hey, do you think they have Opar here?
They might, but don't you want to just enjoy this dinner with us and discuss our next steps?
Of course. Just, like as a dessert or whatever.
Well, yes, maybe afterwards.
Rahman, now being a cultured man that he is, by observing Amira, Saeed, and Cyrus for all this time, with that one lousy point of culture, he has that snooty expression on his face, and he grabs that little tiny fork and very, refined manner pokes one of those little delicious morsels and places it into his mouth and chews silently without saying anything. And says, finally, he swallows it and says, most delicious.
Now, Rahman, you're going to be the best and most cultured pilot in the Third Horizon.
He bursts out laughing. Perhaps you're right, Amira. That would be a good title.
Yes, best and most cultured.
For sure.
I don't think the headlines will fit.
But what do you think? The last thing that the judge said, she said perhaps we would go out and protect the remaining icons. After seeing what we've just been through, I'm not so sure whether if this is the best course of action.
Well, from what we've seen of the emissaries, they don't appear to be hostile or have bad intentions in any way. I think it might be worth our while, especially because if she's going to offer us more money, and she'll smile at Rahman and say, we do have to pay for that fancy ship you like to fly.
That is true. But what do you think, Said? You're a very faithful man. After seeing what we've seen, do you believe they are indeed the avatars of the icon?
I still don't know. I mean, I'm not going to make that call, I don't think.
You've seen many battlefields, my friend, and
I
so have I.
I have, and I'm kind of weary of it, and that's what makes me a bit hesitant when she says, hey, we've got a few more.
that's true. But I've never seen in all my years of flying and fighting any creature that is able to reform after shooting a grenade right into its face.
Yes, that was startling. That was quite startling.
But that was the enemy of the icon that we tried to rescue, no?
Yeah. However, I'm more scared of the human enemies, I think.
I do not
Uh,
know. I still
they,
get the goosebumps thinking about what we just went through.
yeah, but the human ones are more fearful to me, I feel. I mean, these other things, they could be manifestations of whatever, but what men can do to each other, that's another thing entirely.
That is very well said, my darling. Very, very well said.
So yeah, I mean, fighting the darkness and its manifestations is one thing, but I don't know.
What about you, Cyrus? You're a woman of science and logic. What explanation have you for what we've just seen?
Yeah, woman of science and logic. And Cyrus will put her hand over like her fork, and I don't know if you want me to roll for it, but I'd like to use my mystic powers, my uh,
Yep.
to lift the fork into my hand.
Yeah, if you want to use your mystic powers, you got to roll for it.
Okay. No, I failed. Darn.
Come on,
And
just stares at
a woman
Cyrus.
of logic.
yeah.
Damn it.
So no, she does that, and she looks like she's trying to focus on something for a moment, and then finally she just drops her hand back down onto the fork and says, "I don't know."
Good answer.
Well, I'm
All right,
sure
yeah,
the
so-
judge can.
oh.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm sure the judge can give us more information, and we don't have to make this decision right here over this lovely meal. So we can
Right.
think about it.
Yeah, but
Well-
what does everybody else feel? I mean, just because I feel this way.
Like I said, the stuff that we encountered is the stuff of nightmares and the dark between the stars. I'd hate to revisit it if I could, but wherever Amira and you go, along with Cyrus, I'll be there. After all, who's going to pilot Sacred Oasis? He smiles.
Well, I mean, there's always Dasani, I suppose.
Ah, Dasani. You would rather let Dasan fly the ship than Raman Al Qasim? He smiles.
Well,
Of
that's
course
not
not.
what I said at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, how are your eyes doing, Ruban? I mean, can you even see the sensors anymore?
Well, of course. And he tries to grab his fork and he's like grabbing the spoon instead. And he's like, of course I'm doing just fine. He puts the spoon down.
Yeah, it'll take you a little while to heal it from that, but yeah. So we can then cut back to, maybe we'll cut to a few weeks later. Give you each kind of a chance to kind of settle back into your lives. What before you go on any missions or whatever, and we can just kind of go through. You can each kind of tell me what your characters will be up to. What do they do to get back to normal, and if normal is a thing for them. Any particular, if somebody wants to go first, otherwise I'm just going to go in order.
Cyrus, the first thing she does is she takes her portion of the money. I know that's not how we agreed to do it, but I'm going to say she takes her portion of the money, and she goes to pay off the mob, and it's just like, look, this is what I owe you with interest, with everything. Like, I don't want to hear from you anymore, and to get rid of the mob off of her back. Then after that, she spends the next couple of weeks just tinkering about here and there, every once in a while borrowing a little low par from Amira, And then eventually Amira's like, "Yeah, I've kind of given you a lot of a par." And so Cyrus starts to, with whatever little money she has left, buy a little more and a little more. And maybe she's using just a little too much now. And that's Cyrus.
All right, yeah, it can become addicting, that's for sure. How about Rahman? What's Rahman? What's the story with Rahman going into the future?
You see Rahman Al Qasim holding a shawarma. You see him lift up that shawarma, bringing it closer to his mouth. He opens his mouth and takes a bite out of it. He closes his eyes and he relishes the flavor of the delicious combination of meat, white yogurt sauce, and various assortment of vegetables. And he goes, delicious. And all of a sudden, the scene zooms out, and it is a large jumbotron advertisement screen on the side of the road, and it says Hassan Shawarma in the freezer section near you. And Rahman, he's actually zooming by on his grav bike, and he glances at it and he scowls and mutters, "It should have been for a baklava." Ugh. And he's like zooming down the road.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know if we actually did this last time, but everybody's reputation should have went by 2. Anyways, that was a massive thing. So if you haven't done that already, you can do that. All right, Amira, what's Amira up to?
Well, as noted, Amira goes back to her apartment in the Spire, and like I said, the first thing she does is take a real bath and get clean because that's very important to her. And she does her makeup, and she goes back to the temple and tries to remake some of her connections that she had. That she feels that if she does take this job on for the judge, for the other emissaries, she's going to need all the help that she can get at this point. So she's going back there to just to rekindle all those relationships so that she has a network again. And of course, she is, yeah, she is hanging out with Saeed a lot, hoping that seeing how his relationships are going with Nana and everyone else who is interested in him, as he's a celebrity and handsome, and she just finds it a little amusing and endearing. And so that's what Amira is doing. And every once in a while, she has to look over her shoulder a little bit, but so far, nothing to worry about. And that's Amira.
Nice. Saeed, after recovering from your injuries, what's going on with Saeed?
Saeed returns to his physical regimen, and he's spending quite a bit of time within the temple himself. He's also kind of, he's not letting Amira go too far out. I mean, he's making sure that she's safe. He cares about her, does not want her harmed in any way. He's also has been making sure that he's reconnected with his sister, Jabira, and is making arrangements for all of our orphans that we have picked up. Jabira and her father, since Saeed comes from quite a wealthy family, that his family's wealth, even though he has kept the family at quite a distance, he knows that his sister is fond of him yet, and she will do favors for him. So he will ask kindly to make sure that these people are taken care of from her, by her, and that's kind of what Said will do. He will go on. I mean, he will check in with Nana. But if she has moved on, then that is fine with him. I mean, he knows his place in the universe, and he knows where the stars and the icons align for him. So he will continue to wait and see where the next contract lands, and that's what Said is doing.
Excellent. Right, sure. I mean, with your newfound or additional notoriety, I'm sure that Nana is all about keeping the relationship going, at least for the next few months. But as you say, with these celebrity things, they fade. And with Cyrus draining the coffers of the Sacred Oasis fund to pay off her debts, looks like you'll need to be out in space doing some jobs sooner than later.
Yep.
Yeah,
I've
so
thought
we may
about
come. Yeah, we may have to come back with the. Do you want to do that now? Uh-oh. Cyrus is about to get busted. Yeah, so maybe go over the course of the summer, we might do a one-shot here and there with this campaign. Otherwise, we're going to try to come back in the fall. So people who have been watching, thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you guys for playing. It's been super fun. I've enjoyed it, and I'll study this book so that when the fall comes, we can see what's happening on the Third Horizon and what could be the end of the Third Horizon. So if you haven't already, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the good stuff, and we'll see you in the next one.